let me show you my digital authority, my marketing twin, just for a moment. You can see my twin is a marketing twin. My digital authority is a marketing twin. And this is the homepage that I see when I work with the tool. You see the business, all of the terms that describe the language of my business and the metrics I use to measure it are presented. You see the apps that I've connected to ingest data and work with it, and you see my colleagues. So this is obviously a mobile format that we're looking at. There are two very important reasons why this is the case. The first is that we believe that people need to access the numbers they can trust wherever they are, in their meetings, on the road. So mobile format is very important. But equally important is a very simple user interface. So we intentionally design mobile first to keep the entire user experience as friction-free as we can. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment that you are a marketer. You are working with a CRM tool. Maybe you have HubSpot or Salesforce or Pipedrive. You've got a marketing tech stack, a bunch of tools. You're working with a couple of people. You don't have a data warehouse, or if you do, you don't have access to the data scientists that are running it. And what you really want to do is you want to get access to your data, to the numbers, and from that, find truth and trustworthy answers to look at your performance and plan toward outcome delivery. If you're in that situation, what you would do is go to the App Store and you would download HelloTwin, and you would come into this environment and you would spin up a value stream. And I want to show you how easy this is to do, because you don't need any onboarding, you don't need any data scientists, you don't need any infrastructure at all. You pick up your phone and you create a new value stream. So let's just give it a name. And let's choose the apps that we want to work with. So we'll take HubSpot, Google Analytics, that's all good. And then maybe we'll go into product and take a product management app, a Jira app, whatever that we're working with. The point here is we have a Fivetran ecosystem, so there are connectors to 600 different apps. Your apps will be covered here, no problem. Once we've selected the apps we want to work with, it's time to make sure that we have the credentials to connect that data to the Snowflake warehouse. So what you want to do is send an email to your ops person, or in my case, myself, because I know what those permissions and ports are to activate the connector. So I'm just going to send an email. And the last step is really to invite my users. So first of all, I can go to my colleagues and I can say, okay, they can come in and they can add apps, or they can invite other people to join, or they can even create terms and metrics. After doing that, I can then determine how they access my value stream by a personal invitation, or anyone in my company with my domain, or anyone in my company with my approval. And that is it. So now I have just established my first value stream in HelloTwin, and you saw it was just a few mouse clicks. So we can see now the value stream is called Demand Gen. We can see the tools that I requested are in gray because we're waiting for our ops people to provision those. And so this is where we're ready to go. So now let's take a look and see how easy it is for our ops people to provision the connectors and get the data flowing. So I'm just going to pop open TwinOS. And immediately here is the request from the Demand Gen value stream to connect these 4 apps. So I'm going to pop open the request, and let's take HubSpot. I know the host name, I know the post, I know the permissions, I can help. So I could come to the new connector and provision a new connector with Fivetran. Would take anything from 5 minutes to an hour, depending on the volume of data to get that flowing. Or if I already have a connector in the company, I can just click to use that connector again. So let me click this existing connector and turn it on, and we're going to see the data go live in color on the app. So this is now our value stream set up with the data flowing into it. Now, I've prepared, I just want to show you. Let's just take a little look at that connector. If I pop open the connector, I can see that it's running. The last update was 14 hours ago. Next update is in 11 hours. We have 5 green dots, so nice quality data flow moving in here. And I can actually change the configuration. So I can change the frequency, I can push an update time, and I can also determine scopes. For example, some organizations that work with HubSpot have different pipelines that they work with in different scopes. So I can choose to have more or less channeled areas of the app embraced in the twin. So let me show you now a marketing value stream, because I've got a couple of nice examples here that I would like to share with you. So in marketing, working with the marketing twin, first thing we need to really look at is the business glossary and terms. These are your first big win. So we saw in the video, and we've all experienced the stress and confusion of everyone in a company using the same words to mean very different things. The first thing you get when you start to work with your digital authority is a comprehensive list of all of the defined terms that your organization uses to run its business. Now, HelloTwin provides the backbone of that, so you get about 95% of those terms in the product when you onboard. But of course, you have nuances. So there are very important, very specific ways that you describe your business that are super important to you. I mean, every sales and marketing team I know agonizes over their deal stages. Everyone wants to make sure that their pipeline stages are perfect, and it's always an area of intense interest. So let's see. In this example, I flip to the sales the sales pipeline, and if I go to the values in the pipeline, I actually see my entire very specific workflow for the deal stages, from pre-qualified, demo scheduled, offers, negotiations, promise, and so on, to close won business, close lost business. And you can see here that these very specific, detailed stages are clustered in groupings like open pipeline, close won, close loss, and these groupings mean that HelloTwin can really work wonders with this highly specific data when we're working with metrics and so on. So let me show you how easy it is to extend the terms. So I'll just pop over. Let's say I'm going to start a campaign, an outreach campaign to reach out to SMB companies. Yeah? So I want to add that target segment to my terms. So I would just name it and I would describe it. So and then I would go to filter logic. So this isn't a Notion page. I'm actually setting up the logic to fuel the SQL. So if I just say, okay, I want annual revenue, so I'll take my condition, I'm going to select between, and I want anything from $1 to 20 million. That's how we'll define it. So now you can see I've set up the logic to clearly define what this target segment means. And I apply it. And then I create it. And now this is the definition of SMBs in my company. And when anyone asks about SMBs, anyone queries SMBs, they're going to use precisely this tool, precisely this term, and precisely this definition. So we're removing all of this confusion. Now, you've just seen me do a manual exercise of uploading one term. Of course, you will be able to upload governed documents. So if you have a price list, or if you have an ICP document, or you want to input something en masse, you'll be able to do that, and Twin will go through it very carefully, identify the terms, and propose the logic for those terms so that it seamlessly moves into your terms glossary. So this was what I wanted to share with terms. Now that we have the terms in place, I want to show you how our metrics capability works with those terms to deliver executable SQL instructions. So if we open metrics, again, HelloTwin ships with 200 plus metrics out of the box. So the lion's share of the work is done for you, but you can also easily create a metric. So let's take a look. I'll do lead to opportunity conversion. And now what we're going to see is that Twin is going to think about that human instruction, SMB lead to opportunity conversion. What is an SMB? What is a lead? What is an opportunity? What is the conversion metric? And now the metric planner is proposing a step-by-step process to create that metric as any great data scientist would. So precisely and carefully. First step, draft the lead count, the SMB lead count. Second step, count the number of opportunity contacts. Third, divide the number of opportunities by the number of leads. So let's build this plan step by step. So now, again, not just making up what an SMB is every time a new SQL spins up, but consistently referring to it. Thinking. And what you're going to see is the first step in the path. So we'll see that the Twin has drafted the lead count metric, and you can see SMB lead counts equal the count where SMB is true from our terms and the lifecycle stage from our terms is lead. So let's create it. So now Twin moves on to the second step, and this is to create the metric to count the number of opportunities, right? So we should be here in a few seconds. Let's see how we go. So just rinsing and repeating this same process, and we see the next step is drafted. So now in just the same way, Twin has created the number of opportunity contacts as a count where, again, the same term, the correct term is being used with the lifecycle stage opportunity. We create that, and we move on to the third step, which is to create the ratio to divide the opportunities by the leads to give us the number that we need. Should be seeing that in a second. So here we go. So we can see SMB lead to opportunity conversion. It's a safe divide. So if there's a 0 there, don't worry. And, we can see how the math is done. The reporting period is a month. The unit type is a percentage. Let's create it. And now through those steps, we have created a robust metric that is always the same, always uses the correct term, always applies the same math, and is available for every single query that is performed by anyone in the organization. So these metrics apply domain-wide. Okay, so now that I've shown you terms and metrics, I'd like to speak to this mandate, the digital authority that Kai explained. I mentioned that I'm working with the marketing twin. You saw that there are 7 twins: sales, success, product, engineering, finance, operations. And as Kai mentioned, each of these twins has the remit to work with specific areas of the organization, business objects that underpin the terms and the metrics that we were discussing a moment ago. So for my marketing twin, if I pop open the mandate, I'm going to see that my marketing twin has the remit, my digital authority has the remit for accounts, for contacts, for deals, and that I can add additional areas for its consideration. For example, email campaigns, as we like. This is very easy, but what it means is as soon as I do that, my marketing twin becomes the digital authority for those topics. So it is entitled to retrieve the term, recommend the metric, calculate the progress, respond to issues, and delegate to other areas if it isn't aware of the focus of the remit. Okay. So now let me show you how that works in practice. If we go to a chat experience, for example, and I'll just pull up a chat I baked before the show in the interest of time. The question is, show deals from SMBs created in 2026. Okay, so again, this is not an LLM asking a question and coming back with a probabilistic answer that's going to be slightly different every time. This is a deterministic pipeline. So we have our question, and you can see this question delivered in 25 seconds. If I tap on the question, I can see that included in that 25 seconds was a couple of seconds to prepare an answer evaluation. So the pipeline actually confirmed that the SQL query that was generated accurately reflected the question that was asked. So this is your first vote of confidence. And then there follows the pipeline, this deterministic pipeline, so we can see that the twin checked to make sure you have the access rights to answer this question, the access rights to this data, understood the user question, broke out the analytical context, resolved the joins to get going with the executable SQLs, planned the SQL and prepared it so I can even pop it open if I'm interested in inspecting that and see exactly what was done with full explainability to get to my result. And so then we see our result, we see our numbers, and we have the confidence of knowing that these were correctly calculated and are just and true. So now let me ask a question that maybe my marketing twin doesn't have the remit to answer. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So let's say, show issues created in 2025. So I don't think there are too many marketers that are taking responsibility for bug lists and things like that. So let's see what's going on. So now I'm going to ask my marketing twin this question about Jira issues. And we're thinking, checking the access rights, understanding the question. So going through the same process, but this time we should be seeing that that the marketing twin might not be the best person for the job. So here's our answer, and let's take it from the top. This is outside my mandate. So I asked Product Twin to assist. So the marketing twin has deflected the question to the product twin, and the product twin, who has the remit to respond on issues in Jira and bugs and features and so on, has provided the answer. And we also have, I think, we have the answer, we would get a nice visualization, and we have the same transparency in the pipeline. So all of the things I just showed you. Now, maybe one more thing before we leave the search experience. If I wanted to ask a deeper question, like explain reasons for the created issues, for example, now the twin is going to go into a much more elaborate desk research exercise. So it's going to identify and scope a full range of queries and conduct a major exercise. This will probably take a minute or so. So I might move on, and we'll come back and take a look at what that more sophisticated query has produced in a moment. So let's now take a look at the situation rooms. Situation rooms are places where people and twins, digital authorities, come together to create reports, to look at progress against goals, and to strategize and deliberate about what can be done to move forward. So in this situation room, I'm looking at a marketing scorecard. You can see that I have a goal to create a certain number of opportunities, 80 up till the end of summer, and then that target is jumping up to 100. So I can see where I am there. And I can also see that what we're doing with our sales qualified lead handovers as well in a basic reporting format. So this is the idea that you spin out a report, you put a goal on it, and then monitor and work toward the achievement of that outcome. And I should say currently we don't have the dialogue inside the situation room with the twin and people, but this is coming very soon. So twin will be deliberating, advising the team on progress, evaluating potential scenarios to improve the situation, and making decisions in concert with the people in the room. Let me show you how easy it is to create a new report. So let me just give it a name like, let's say, leads per month. And I'll create it. Oh, sorry, I just created the situation. I'll do it again. Sorry. So leads per month. I want to add the metrics, so I'm going to add a lead count. Again, coming from this governed metric in the glossary, how I want to see it. Show me a green bar chart. What's the frequency? Let's say once a month. If I wanted, I could also add a goal here, make it a goal, just by putting targets on it, one or more. But for now, I'm just going to create the preview. So we'll just let Twin do its work to, again, go through that same logic, reference the terms, reference the metrics, and execute the SQL and present the report. And here it comes. Very exciting to see if my bars are green. Yep, here we go. It looks like we had an amazing September. Must have been on a conference floor, but you can see now these are the leads that are being delivered over the period. So I can just publish that. And we've created in that simple way a new situation room to focus on. Okay, so let me pop back and show you what was going on with that chat. Go to the top of it now. I can see 2 minutes and 47 seconds with the Twin proposing a series of queries. And if we open them, we can see all of the activities that were undertaken to deliver this answer. So nicely transparent history of what was done to come up with the conclusions that we see in a validated piece of desk research that directly references precisely and correctly all of the numbers we've seen in this scenario. So last point, Kai talked about, I've shown you how quick and easy it is to spin up one value stream for one little team to get started. And we feel that when people start working with these numbers that they can trust, without having to run around trying to find different numbers at the 11th hour, when they can look at their performance and measure their progress with confidence, we're going to see a lot of referrals across the company, because twins are better together. So from having a marketing value stream, you could just as easily spin up a sales value stream, a customer success value stream, product management, engineering, finance, and whatever you like. And as these value streams are formed, they can network together. So we're building and working toward one intelligence organically from the bottom up. And as mentioned, twins are better together. So when marketing and sales twins are working alongside one another, no one is arguing about which campaign delivers the pipeline. When sales and finance are working together, nobody is arguing about what the revenue is and what the forecast is. So that was really what I wanted to show you. And I thought it would be great now to hear from some of our design partners and what their first impressions were of what you've seen as they've been testing and working with the program.